We go. For this particular match, we have got Noumenon playing as humans and Galahad playing as goo. Galahad indeed. All right, let's jump right in. Good luck, have fun, says Galahad. Good luck, have fun indeed. I wonder if I can... Oh, no, I can't because I already surrendered. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay. I was going to mess with the music, but it doesn't matter. So we have, in the bottom left, Galahad playing as goo. This map will be Mountain Pass. You all recognize it, of course. And in the top right, we have Noumenon playing as humans. I'm honestly not familiar with Noumenon at all. And the very first engagement has already begun here in the center between the Drover and this Trident. And there they go. Both of them will disengage and go to scout the other person. We have Galahad moving his Mother Goo away from the initial starting resource spigot here and moving towards this line of spigots to try to resource a little bit more efficiently in the early game, but the Trident looks like it's going to encounter him relatively soon. In Noumenon's base, we've got a single refinery into single factory build, which is a pretty aggressive early build against goo. It generally makes sense to try and hit the field with a lot of early tier 1 units to apply pressure to the Mother Goos before they snowball out of control. So that's what we're going to be seeing here. And Tridents are hitting the field. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sprinkling a few revolvers as well for the extra damage that they can provide. It looks like the Trident was not quite able to find the Mother Goo, taking advantage of the mountains and cliffs in this general area. Galahad has been able to resource unharassed so far. The Drover is actually making its way back out of the human base, back towards the Mother Goo to assist in engagements. Somebody wants me to turn on the resource spigot view, so see that. Unfortunately, you cannot see it on the minimap, but it still shows up on the actual game, and that's a limitation of the custom map. There's really not anything that we can do about that, unfortunately. Looks like we're going to have another engagement here between the Drover and the Trident. Drover will make it away from the Trident, and we have two more Tridents making their way down to support in this engagement. We also have a second refinery going up now, so he has gone with what looks like 3 Tridents. My count is correct, yes, 3 Tridents before getting his second refinery out. Finishes his second refinery and then completes a 4th Trident. The Drover continues to scout around, just making its way towards the center, and these Tridents are applying as much pressure as they can to this Mother Goo, keeping a good distance from the cliffs. They're actually just continuing to scout around and try and figure out where the Mother Goos are, and Galahad has produced a second one now. And they continue to dodge around these Tridents. This early game can be very dicey for goo, trying to resource as efficiently as possible. And with these human tier 1 units so nearby. More Tridents making their way down. Drover kind of hanging out in this area, possibly looking for another scouting opportunity in the near future. And after his second refinery, Noumenon has chosen to get a tank attachment. So he's actually got 2 refineries and only 1 factory right now, which is going to give him quite a bit of a resource surplus for a little while, but he's probably going to be starting to transition into tanks quite soon. We're probably going to see some more production facilities from him in the near future as well. This Trident looks like it's just screening against the Drover, I suppose. These Tridents are actually disengaging from this area completely. And we did have a small protein produced there by Galahad hanging out in this brush. There it goes, making its way towards these tridents. We could have an engagement here, but it looks like Galahad doesn't quite feel comfortable engaging yet. Needs to mass a few more low-tier units first. And there we go, another small protein spawned. 8 drovers now against 4 tridents. Could be a close engagement, and it will depend on splitting. Right now he's very clumped, unfortunately. Here we go, here trying to get a split to happen, but he's just not really doing much damage. 1 trident goes down, 1 drover goes down. Looks like this engagement will go to Galahad quite easily. Definitely could have been microed better by the human player there, and the pressure is really on the human player to micro quite well in the early game. The burden of splitting is not on the goo until howitzers and bombers and other AoE things start hitting the field, whereas goo have very early AoE solution in the form of drovers. So it's definitely very important to make sure that your low tier units as humans split nicely to avoid that AoE damage from those drovers. But while that engagement was happening, the human was taking advantage of that time to get himself a 3rd refinery, and we can definitely see that goo economy starting to ramp up a little bit out of control here. The remaining 5 drovers are going to make their way up here to apply a little bit of pressure to the human base. We will see that no turrets have yet been constructed, so these drovers will be able to harass these harvesters pretty much unpunished here until either fresh units hit the field or the human player, Noumenon, produces some defenses. But we're actually going to see a really greedy build here, going straight into a 4th refinery before even waiting for a single set of units to get produced by his large factory here. Drovers continue to harass harvesters, putting a little bit of damage on the extractor, but now that 2 Gladii have been produced, we should have no problem forcing them away. Uh-oh. We might lose these 2 tridents, though. They're a little bit out of position. They do take out 1 drover. Nice split. And, there goes one trident. The other one will be fine after sustaining light damage, and the drovers will disengage. Meanwhile, Galahad now has 6 mothers. So that goo economy is going to get really difficult to deal with if we don't see some pressure here from the human player. Otherwise, he's going to have to start engaging very cost-effectively to stay in this game by utilizing howitzers or possibly scythes, or just generally catching mothers off guard, possibly with the use of a teleporter. Either way, he does have 4 refineries and only 1 factory and 1 large factory, so he needs to get those production facilities up, or he's not going to really be able to spend his resources on anything other than just more structures, I guess. Engagement happening in the center. These Gladii stand no chance against the superior numbers there. These 2 Gladii are about to get caught somewhat out of position as well. If he doesn't stick his tanks a little bit closer together, Galahad will have no problem picking them off one by one like this. Nice unit preservation by Galahad. Look at that, disengaging with the low health units right at the perfect time when they're 1 hit from dead. They will regenerate that health. Trading very, very nicely, taking out 1 Gladius here, 1 Gladius there, and losing really very little. And all this time he's just stalling for more and more economy. Look at this. How many is this? 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 mothers. He will be capped. He's only 3 mothers from being capped, and then the swarm of goo will descend upon his human base like crazy. In fact, he could probably all in right now and just end the game. I don't think that there's going to be any way the human can survive what's coming. He has produced howitzers, which I think was a good decision, but at the same time, that's a very defensive unit, and he's not going to be able to apply much pressure to these mothers using just howitzers. And he has no aircraft, he has no teleporters, he has no mobility. We're also seeing a distinct lack of defenses here in the human base, no turrets, no walls, so not looking too good for the human at this point in the game. I think it's just a matter of time. Here it comes. We've got some dwellers. And when he saw those howitzers, Galahad actually disengaged a little bit. He was feeling a little bit timid, and he's going to wait to amass a few more units here. His mother's in a little bit of trouble, so we'll get onto the cliffs. This tiny little strike force from the humans is not going to be enough. Not even close. In fact, if I were him, I don't even know if I would be so aggressive. Ooh, he just hit a nasty dweller right there and took huge damage. Unfortunately, we can't see the dweller because of the limitations of how we're observing this game, but that was a dweller that he triggered there with almost all of his gladii, and he just takes a massive amount of damage and almost gets cleaned up by a few tier 1 units. Any second now, I think we're going to start to see a huge army starting to get. There it is. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3 large Proteans. Probably going to get morphed into Destructors, if I had to guess. And the 4th large Protean. This is gonna be way too much for the human to deal with. We've got 2 howitzers currently, more in production. A couple of tier 1 units here. Still operating on only 4 refineries. Absolutely no map control. And yes, dwellers can walk while stealth. It is an upgrade Gu has access to. Human is massing his forces here in his base. Still no turrets, still no walls. I'm actually, if I'm being totally honest, I'm a little bit surprised how passively Galahad is playing at this point. It is a tournament game, so he doesn't want to go crazy all in and then mess anything up. But I really think that his economy is just so far ahead of his opponent that he could easily just blast into his opponent's base and end the game. He has purchased Crescents almost exclusively from his large Proteans. Look at this build. Almost nothing but Crescents. His opponent has no AA at all. And that amount of artillery is going to be difficult to dodge, no doubt. Oh god, he just blobbed right into it. Oh no. All of his tier 1 units just got globbed. And there it is, GG. Noumenon knows that there is absolutely no coming back from this situation. And now we'll conclude Game 1.